I never expected a routine checkup to change my life or my heart. Some people say fate works in mysterious ways. I never believed that, at least not until the day I stepped into Dr. Adrian Chen's office for what I thought was a routine physical exam. What he discovered wasn't just about my health. It was a truth I'd been avoiding for years, even from myself. And what happened next changed both of our lives forever. My name is Marcus Webb, and this is the story of how a simple medical appointment became the beginning of the most profound connection I've ever known. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as I waited, my leg bouncing with nervous energy. I put off this appointment for months, almost a year. At 28, I considered myself pretty healthy. I ran a few times a week, ate decently, and rarely got sick. But my insurance company had been sending urgent reminders, and my boss kept hinting about workplace wellness requirements. So there I was, on a dreary Tuesday in October, filling out forms packed with personal questions about my habits, history, and lifestyle. When I reached the section about sexual activity and orientation, my pen hovered. My hand trembled. Check the box, Marcus. Just check it. But I didn't. I left it blank, like I always did. Like I left so many things in my life blank. Unspoken, uncertain. Marcus Webb. A nurse in purple scrubs with warm eyes called my name. I followed her down a hallway lined with anatomy charts and sanitizer dispensers. The air smelled like antiseptic mixed with a faint floral scent, probably from an air freshener trying to soften the clinical atmosphere. She took my vitals. Blood pressure, slightly high. Pulse, a little fast. Temperature, normal. "The doctor will be with you shortly," she said with a practiced smile before closing the door. I sat on the crinkling paper covering the exam table, fingers tapping against my legs. The room was painted a calm blue-gray, decorated with framed pictures of peaceful landscapes meant to soothe patients. To me, they only highlighted how trapped I felt. 10 minutes passed, then 15. I was about to check my phone when the door opened, and everything shifted. Dr. Adrian Chen wasn't at all what I expected. His name on the appointment slip hadn't told me anything about what he looked like, and I hadn't bothered to Google him. He looked like he was in his early 30s, with sharp cheekbones, dark hair styled neatly, and eyes that were both warm and deeply observant. His black-framed glasses made him look effortlessly intelligent. "Marcus Webb," he said, checking his tablet before extending his hand.
"I'm Dr. Chen."
"Sorry for the wait." An emergency pushed everything back. His handshake was steady, confident, his long fingers strong yet gentle. I realized I was staring and quickly looked away. "No problem," I said, hoping my voice sounded steadier than I felt. He sat on a rolling stool with smooth, economical movements. "So, it's been a while since your last physical. Almost 3 years. I know. I'm terrible about this stuff. You're not alone," he said with a reassuring smile. "But I'm glad you're here now." We went through the usual questions: diet, exercise, sleep, stress. I answered automatically, but I felt his attention on me. Not just medically. He seemed to notice the things I wasn't saying out loud. "Any significant stress in your life?" he asked. I shrugged. "The usual. Work, life. The general existential dread." He laughed. A warm, genuine sound that broke through his professional composure. "I feel like those forms should have a rating scale for that by now," he said. 1 to 10. "Where would you fall?" 7, I said. "Only 7? You're doing better than most." Then his expression softened. "I noticed you left some parts of your intake form blank, the sexual health section. Those questions can feel personal, but they matter for your overall care. Would you be comfortable discussing them?" My throat tightened. This was the moment I always avoided. "It's complicated," I said quietly. He nodded and set down his tablet. "Marcus," This is a confidential, judgment-free space. People often struggle with these questions, especially if they're still processing parts of their identity. Whatever you share stays between us. Something in me cracked. He wasn't assuming anything, just making space for honesty.
I'm
gay, I said. The words were terrifying and freeing at the same time. I've never said that to a doctor before. I barely say it to anyone. His expression softened around the eyes. Thank you for trusting me. Are you out to people close to you? Some friends, maybe, but we don't talk about it. My family doesn't know. They're conservative. I don't think they'd understand. That must feel incredibly heavy, he said gently. The word heavy hit me, because it was true. I've been carrying it alone for years. Let's continue the exam, he said, standing. I want to run a full physical and discuss preventive care at your pace. Nothing rushed. He checked my reflexes, heart, lungs, abdomen. Everything felt routine until he examined my lymph nodes, his fingers lightly pressing along my neck and collarbone. His brow furrowed. Have you noticed any swelling here? No. Should I have? He checked the other side, his expression calm but more focused than before. Your lymph nodes are a bit enlarged. Could be nothing, maybe a mild infection. But considering a few other things. He stepped back, studying me carefully. I need to ask when you were last tested for HIV. The question hit me like ice. I've never been tested. He didn't react harshly, but I saw concern flash in his eyes. Have you been sexually active? Not for months. There was someone about 6 months ago. We were careful, most of the time. My chest tightened. You think I might have HIV? I think we should run tests, he said gently. Not to assume anything, just to be thorough. The room felt smaller, the air thinner. What other indicators? You've lost about 15 pounds since your last visit. You mentioned fatigue. And I'm seeing slight discoloration in your oral tissue. He rolled closer so our eyes met. Marcus, breathe. We don't know anything yet. I'm ordering a full blood panel, including HIV and STI tests. Fear swelled in my chest. Fear built from years of hearing old stories and outdated narratives. But then Dr. Chen's hand landed on my shoulder, warm, steady, grounding. Look at me, he said. I did. If the test is positive, and that's still an if, HIV is treatable. People live long, healthy lives. Undetectable means untransmittable. I need you to know that. I nodded, though my mind was spinning. I'm going to take care of you, he said. And somehow, I believed him. The nurse returned to draw blood. I watched the vials fill, each drop holding answers I wasn't sure I wanted. He explained the rapid test could give results in minutes, but the 4th-generation test would take longer. Can we do both? I asked. He hesitated. We can, if you're ready for answers today. I'm tired of waiting, I said. 20 minutes later, I sat in Dr. Chen's private office. It felt strangely warm. Bookshelves, a window, framed pictures. He'd given me water and told me to sit while the rapid test processed. Then the door opened. He walked in holding a single sheet of paper, his expression carefully controlled. Marcus, he said gently, sitting across from me. The rapid test came back reactive. That means preliminarily positive. The world blurred. My vision tunneled. Fear roared in my ears. Then his hands closed around mine, steadying them. Marcus, breathe with me, he said. I followed the rhythm of his chest until the panic loosened. We still need the confirmatory test, he said. But based on this result and your symptoms, you've likely contracted HIV. And I want you to remember this. You're going to be okay. Treatment is incredibly effective. You can live a full, healthy life. How did this happen? I whispered. HIV can be transmitted even with precautions if they're not consistent, he said calmly. This isn't about blame. It's about taking the next step. His hand stayed wrapped around mine, warm, grounding, real. I'll call you tomorrow with the full results, he said. But I don't want you to go home alone in this state. He wrote something down and pressed the paper into my palm. My personal number. If you need support tonight, call me. Why are you doing this? I whispered. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Because I know what it feels like to carry something overwhelming by yourself. Because you deserve compassion, not isolation. And because... He hesitated, a shadow of his own story flickering behind his eyes. Because no one should face something like this alone. Thank you, I said, voice shaking. He stood. When you're ready, the front desk will schedule your follow-up for tomorrow. And Marcus, he paused at the door. You're going to survive this and you're going to live. Sometimes a crisis opens the door to truth. Don't ignore what this moment is asking of you. Then he left, and I sat there with a positive rapid test, a phone number I wasn't supposed to have, and the strange sense that even as everything fell apart, something else might be beginning. The drive home passed in a blur of autumn colors and traffic noise I barely heard. My hands clenched the steering wheel, knuckles white. Every few minutes another wave of fear hit me, and I had to remind myself to breathe, to stay focused. HIV-positive. The words repeated over and over like a cruel echo. I thought about every warning, every documentary, every outdated story I'd ever heard, and suddenly the world felt impossibly heavy. But then I remembered Dr. Chen's words. Undetectable equals untransmittable. Normal lifespan. You're going to live. I remembered the way his hands had held mine. My apartment felt emptier than usual when I walked inside. I'd lived there for 3 years, yet it had never felt like home, just a place where I slept and kept my belongings. The furniture was minimal, chosen for practicality instead of comfort. No photos on the walls, no personal touches, nothing that said anything real about who I was. It was a space built for hiding, for existing without being noticed. I dropped my keys on the kitchen counter and stood there, unsure of what to do. Should I eat? I wasn't hungry. Should I turn on the TV? I couldn't imagine focusing on anything. Should I call someone? My phone felt heavy in my pocket. I pulled it out and stared at the paper Dr. Chan had given me, slightly wrinkled from being clenched in my fist during the drive. His personal number, a small offering of connection when I had none. I shouldn't call him. It wasn't appropriate. He was my doctor, and he had already crossed a boundary just by giving me his number. I should call a helpline or a counselor, someone trained for this kind of crisis. But I didn't want scripted comfort from someone reading from a guide. I wanted him. The realization startled me with its clarity. After one appointment, one conversation, one moment of human kindness, I wanted to hear his voice again, just to feel less alone. The sun was setting, stretching long shadows across my living room. I forced myself to eat something, crackers and cheese, mechanical bites with no taste. I showered, watching the water swirl down the drain as if I could wash the diagnosis and fear away. By 9 p.m., I had given up on sleep. I lay on my couch staring at the ceiling until the darkness felt impossible to bear alone. I dialed his number before I could talk myself out of it. He answered on the second ring. Marcus. Just hearing him say my name loosened something tight inside my chest. I'm sorry for calling, I said. I know it's late. Don't apologize. I gave you this number because I wanted you to use it. How are you feeling? His voice sounded different over the phone, softer, less formal. I could hear faint music in the background, maybe classical piano. Honestly, I'm terrified, I admitted. I keep spiraling, thinking about everything that could go wrong. And I feel stupid for not being more careful, for not getting tested sooner. 4. Stop, he said gently, but firmly. Blaming yourself won't help you right now. What happened has already happened. What matters is what you do next. How do I do that? I whispered. How do I move forward when everything feels like it's falling apart? One moment at a time. One breath at a time. I heard movement on his end, like he'd settled into a chair. Can I tell you something? Not as your doctor, but as someone who understands what you're feeling. Please, I said. There was a pause, and when he spoke again, there was a vulnerability in his voice I hadn't heard before. When I was 25, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. Not HIV, but chronic. Incurable. It meant my life would never look the way I had planned. I had to take daily medication. I had to change my entire lifestyle. And I had to face the feeling that my own body had betrayed me. I sat up, pressing the phone tighter to my ear. I spent months angry and depressed, he continued. I pushed away everyone who cared about me. I almost quit medical school because I kept thinking, what's the point of helping others when I can't fix myself? But then a mentor told me something that changed everything. He said our greatest struggles can become our greatest sources of strength and empathy, if we allow them to. That the broken places, once healed, often become the strongest parts of us. Do you believe that? I asked quietly. I do now, he said. It took time, but my condition made me a better doctor. It taught me to see patients as full human beings, not just medical charts. It taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's courage. He paused. Marcus, what you're facing is scary, but it's also a chance to live honestly, to stop hiding, to build a life that belongs to you. I don't know how to do that, I admitted. Neither did I at first. You learn. You take small steps. You find people who support you. You tell the truth, to yourself first, then to others. His voice softened even more. You called me tonight because you needed someone. That was a step. You told me you're gay, something you've barely said out loud. That was another step. Keep going. And eventually you'll find yourself somewhere completely different from where you started. We talked for more than an hour. He told me about living with a chronic condition, the challenges of being a doctor while managing his health, and how mental health mattered just as much as physical treatment. I told him about growing up in a conservative small town, about knowing I was different from an early age, about the relationship I'd had with another man, brief, hidden, and full of shame. He didn't want to be seen with me, I said quietly. I would go to his place late at night and leave before sunrise. At first it felt exciting, but then it just felt empty, like I was helping erase myself. You deserve better than that, Dr. Chun said, his voice steady but full of feeling. You deserve to be seen, to be valued, to be loved openly. The word loved hung between us, charged with something we didn't name but both felt. I should let you go, I whispered, though I didn't want to. You've spent your whole evening talking me down. I've spent my evening talking with someone I care about, he corrected softly. There's a difference. Before I could respond, he added, tomorrow at 3 p.m., come to my office. We'll go over your results. We'll make a plan. And you won't go through this alone. Okay, I breathed. Try to get some sleep, Marcus. And if you can't, call me back. I mean that. After the call ended, I sat there holding my phone, feeling the warmth of his words settle inside me like medicine. For the first time since the diagnosis, I didn't feel like I was drowning. I felt held, supported, seen. I slept better than I expected, waking to golden October sunlight streaming through my windows. Work the next day felt surreal. I moved through my marketing tasks, meetings, emails, while my mind floated somewhere else. No one noticed. Why would they? I'd perfected the skill of looking fine while quietly falling apart. At 2:30, I left early, saying I had a doctor's appointment. The receptionist at the clinic recognized me immediately and sent me straight to Dr. Chen's office instead of the waiting room. He stood when I walked in, and for a moment we simply looked at each other. In the daylight, I noticed details I'd missed before. The silver at his temples, the faint lines near his eyes, the way he balanced authority with genuine warmth. "Marcus, come in," he said, gesturing to the same chair as yesterday. "How are you feeling today?" "Less panicked," I said honestly. "Thanks to you." He smiled, though his eyes were serious as he turned to his computer. "I have your confirmatory results. As expected, they matched the rapid test. You are HIV positive. But there's more information now, and most of it is actually encouraging." He angled the monitor toward me. I didn't understand much of the terminology. "Your viral load is low, and your CD4 count is still in a strong range. That suggests this is a recent infection, probably within the last 3 to 6 months, which matches what you told me." "That's good news." "Good?" I asked. "Yes. It means we're catching this early. We'll start treatment immediately, a single daily pill. Most people tolerate it very well. Within 2 or 3 months, your viral load should drop to undetectable." He walked me through the plan patiently, answering every question. But beneath the medical details, there was something else. An unspoken connection growing between us. Something that wasn't doctor and patient, but simply two people truly seeing each other. "I need to ask you something difficult," he said once we'd gone through everything. "Your previous partner needs to be notified. It can be anonymous, but he should get tested." My stomach twisted. I don't even know his last name. We met on an app. It was casual. Dr. Chen nodded kindly. "Do what you can. Don't put yourself in a painful situation. Another thing to consider is disclosure moving forward," he added. "Future partners need to know before intimacy. Beyond that, it's up to you who you tell." "What about work?" I asked. "Do I have to say anything?" "Absolutely not," he said firmly. "Your status is private." He leaned forward slightly, closing the distance. "Marcus, we also need to talk about your mental and emotional well-being. Have you thought about seeing a therapist? Someone experienced with LGBTQ+ issues." "I've never been to therapy," I admitted. "It could help a lot," he said gently. "Processing the diagnosis, understanding your sexuality, learning to live openly. That's a lot to handle alone. I know someone excellent if you're open to it. She's helped many of my patients." "Your patients?" I asked quietly. "You mean other gay men with HIV?" "Some," he said, "but also LGBTQ+ people facing all kinds of challenges. She understands what it feels like to hide, to fear judgment, to carry shame." His choice of words, "many of us," hit me immediately. Us, not them. My eyes met his. Something unspoken moved between us, a shared understanding. "Are you—" I began, then hesitated. "Gay?" he said calmly. "Yes. I don't usually share personal details with patients, but with you I thought it mattered. I know what you're feeling because I've lived some of it myself. I came out in college. It was easier in some ways, but not without its own challenges." "Does your family know?" I asked. A shadow crossed his face. "Now they do. Took years, and our relationships are complicated. My parents are Chinese immigrants, very traditional. They had certain expectations for my life, none of which included having a gay son. We're cordial now, but distant. It's one of my greatest regrets that I can't have both, being fully myself and having their full acceptance."
I'm sorry.
"Don't be. It was my choice and I'd make it again. Living honestly is worth the cost, even when that cost is painful." He moved to the window, silhouetted against the afternoon light. "Marcus, I'm telling you this not to make it about me, but to help you see that you're not alone. There's an entire community of people who understand what you're going through. You just have to reach out and find them. I joined him at the window. We stood side by side, looking out at the parking lot and the trees, their leaves turning brilliant shades of red and gold. The ordinary world carried on outside while my life had transformed completely. I'm scared, I admitted. Not just of HIV, but everything else. Coming out, losing people, being rejected. I spent so long being invisible that I don't even know how to be seen. Start small, he said. Start with people you trust. Start with yourself. He turned to face me, and suddenly we were very close. Close enough that I could see golden flecks in his brown eyes. Close enough to catch the faint scent of his cologne. You've already started, he said. You trusted me with your truth. That takes tremendous courage. You made it easy to trust you. Good, I whispered. His voice dropped softer, more intimate. I want you to feel safe with me. Not just as your doctor, but as someone who genuinely cares about your well-being. The air between us felt charged, electric. I wondered if he felt it, too, the pull that existed outside boundaries of medical professionalism, patient care, appropriateness. A knock at the door shattered the moment. A nurse peeked in. Dr. Chun, your 3:30 is here. Thank you, Kesha. I'll be right there, he said, stepping back, restoring professional distance. Marcus, let's schedule a follow-up in 2 weeks to see how you're adjusting to the medication. In the meantime, you have my number. Use it if you need to. At the door, I turned back. Dr. Chun, Adrian, thank you for everything, for seeing me. His smile was warm, genuine. I see you, Marcus, and I'm honored that you're letting me. The next 2 weeks were transformative. The medication made me slightly nauseous at first, but Adrian had warned me, and the side effects faded quickly. What didn't fade was the strange clarity that settled over me since the diagnosis. Paradoxically, learning I had HIV made me feel more alive. I began attending an LGBTQ+ support group for people living with HIV, something Adrian had encouraged. The first meeting terrified me. Walking into a community center, introducing myself, admitting out loud that I was gay and HIV-positive. But the acceptance I found there was immediate and unconditional. These people understood. They'd walked the same path and shared wisdom earned through struggle. I also started seeing Dr. Miranda Reeves, the therapist Adrian had recommended. She was exactly what I needed. Direct but compassionate, challenging but supportive. In our sessions, we unpacked years of internalized shame, explored my fear of rejection, and built authentic connections. You've been living in survival mode, she said during our third session. Just getting through each day without being fully present. The diagnosis gives you permission to stop surviving and start living. Don't waste that gift. But the most unexpected change came in my evolving relationship with Adrian. It began with text messages, checking in about the medication, my emotional state. They were professional at first, but gradually they became personal. Books, shows, life observations. Then came long late-night calls when we should have been sleeping. We talked about everything. Our work, childhoods, dreams, fears. One night, I asked, lying in bed with the phone pressed to my ear, "When did you know you were gay?" "I think I always knew," he said. "I accepted it when I was 16. I had a friend, Daniel. He was everything, confident, athletic, popular, and I was completely in love, even though I didn't have the words yet. One day after swim practice, we were alone, and he kissed me. What happened?" Depressed. "We dated secretly for a year. He was terrified of being found out. Eventually, he decided it was too risky and broke things off, saying it was a mistake. It devastated me, but it clarified everything. I couldn't live hiding, pretending, denying myself. I came out to friends first, then family. deciding I'd rather be alone and honest than partnered and invisible. Have you been alone since then? He paused.
Ever dated?
A few serious relationships, but nothing lasting. Being a doctor is demanding. Finding someone who shares my values and vision for life? Not easy.
Plus, I'm picky.
That doesn't sound picky, I said. That sounds wise. Or scared, he admitted, his voice carrying a vulnerability that made my chest ache. And you? He asked. Anyone else besides the guy from the app? No one serious. A few encounters more about validation than connection. I was trying to prove something to myself. That I could be gay without really being gay. If it was just physical, it didn't count. I didn't have to claim it. But now, I realize I can't separate myself into pieces. Straight, gay, acceptable, shameful. I'm just me. All of it. And people either accept that or they don't. Marcus, that's growth, he said warmly. Real, significant growth. I smiled in the darkness. I'm not teaching you, he added. I'm walking alongside you while you teach yourself. These conversations became the highlight of my days. I looked forward to seeing his name light up on my phone, hearing his voice, feeling less alone. But I knew the line we were walking was dangerous. He was my doctor. Ethics, professional guidelines, and power dynamics made romance inappropriate. Yet with every call, every shared vulnerability, every laugh, those boundaries felt less protective and more like prison bars. My 2-week follow-up came on a Friday. I'd been on medication for 14 days. Adrian wanted to check my response. I entered his office with a mix of anticipation and nerves. He looked tired, like he'd been working long hours, but his face lit up when he saw me. Marcus, you look good. Actually, I feel good. Better than I have in years, I admitted. We went over the medical updates. My viral load had dropped significantly, a promising early response. Side effects were gone. Physically, I was exactly where we hoped. This is excellent progress, Adrian said, reviewing the results. Keep it up and you'll be undetectable in a month or 2. How's therapy going? Intense but helpful, I admitted. Dr. Reeves doesn't let me hide. She pushes me to be honest about what I want, who I am, and the life I'm building. And what do you want? The question hung heavy between us, loaded beyond therapy. I met his eyes and saw my own longing reflected back. I want to stop being afraid, I whispered. I want to tell my family who I am, even if they reject me. I want real connection. Not hiding, not pretending. Just real. I want to feel alive, instead of watching life pass behind glass. Adrian was still, gaze locked on mine. Those are beautiful goals, Marcus. You deserve all of that. I took a breath. I need to tell you something. These past 2 weeks, talking to you, getting to know you, it's meant everything. You've given me more than care. You've given me hope, friendship, understanding. But I need to be honest. What I feel is becoming more than friendship. He closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they were full of conflict. Marcus, I know this is complicated, probably inappropriate, and there are rules. But I'm tired of hiding how I feel. I feel something for you. I feel it too, I admitted, from somewhere deep. God help me. I feel it too. But Marcus, I'm your doctor. Ethical boundaries, professional responsibility. I could lose my license. You're vulnerable. You're facing a major health diagnosis, coming to terms with your identity. Your feelings may be amplified by that. I can't act on this now. Then stop being my doctor, I said firmly. Transfer me. Remove the barrier. Then it's just us. Marcus, it's not that simple, he said, frustration clear. Guidelines suggest waiting a minimum period after the physician-patient relationship ends. Usually a year. A year, I whispered. The thought felt impossible. It's about protection, he said. You trusted me in a crisis. Acting on feelings now, even later, could question motives and professionalism. If we want this someday, we need boundaries now. I should transfer your care. Stop talking outside necessary communications. Then, after the proper period, we can see if this still exists. That's not fair, I said, voice breaking. I just found you. Someone who sees me. And now we have to lose that to maybe have something later. I know, he said softly. But if we wait, do it right, we build on solid ground. Nothing rushed, nothing coerced. You'll have time to heal, to come out, to establish your support network. That time is yours. How long? 6 months minimum. A year is better. It's a test of patience, Marcus. But if what we feel is real, it will survive. A small, sad smile crossed his face. I've been waiting for someone like you longer than 6 months. I can wait a little longer, can't I? The transfer happened within the week. Adrian introduced me to Dr. Sarah Patel, another HIV specialist in the practice. She was excellent, knowledgeable, compassionate, thorough, but she wasn't Adrian. We stopped texting, stopped calling, except for one professional email to transfer my records. The silence was excruciating, but something else was happening. Without Adrian as my constant support, I had to build other connections, lean on others, and develop strength I didn't know I had. I came out to my sister first. Sarah, I'm gay. I'm HIV positive. I need you to know. The silence on the line stretched unbearably. Then she said, Okay. Thank you for telling me. I love you. Nothing changes that. We cried together. She asked questions, some I could answer, some not. She admitted she'd suspected I was gay for years, but didn't know how to approach it. She offered to visit and be there however I needed. Not perfect, but acceptance. Love emboldened. I came out to my parents via letter. I couldn't do it face to face. I needed to say everything without interruption, without witnessing their immediate reactions. I wrote about my sexuality, my diagnosis, and the life I was building. Their response took 2 weeks. My father's email was brief and cold. We need time to process this. We'll contact you when ready. It hurt, but I had support, my sister, my support group, my therapist. I wasn't alone in the pain. My mother replied separately a few days later. This isn't what we wanted for you. We're struggling to understand. But you're our son. We need time, but we're not going anywhere. Not full acceptance, but not rejection either. A door left slightly open. Work became easier. I didn't owe anyone disclosure about my health or sexuality. I continued doing my job, but with more confidence. I joined the company's Pride Employee Resource Group and pinned a small rainbow on my laptop bag. Small steps toward visibility. The months passed slowly. I threw myself into therapy, into my support group, into building a life that felt authentically mine. I started dating casually, nothing serious, just meeting other gay men, learning to navigate the world without shame. Some dates were awkward, some fun. None of them were Adrian, because through it all, through every milestone and every challenge, I thought about him. I wondered if he was thinking of me, if the connection we'd shared was surviving the separation. 6 months to the day after our last conversation, I walked into a coffee shop downtown and saw him sitting by the window. He looked different. Hair slightly longer, no glasses, more relaxed than I'd ever seen him in the office. And then he saw me. His face lit up with a smile that made my heart skip. Marcus, he said. We stood awkwardly for a moment, then moved at the same time into a careful, brief hug. The warmth of his body against mine felt like coming home. You look amazing, he said, stepping back to really look at me. Healthy, happy, strong. I've been working on myself, I said. Therapy, support group, living honestly. It's been hard, but good. I've been following your progress through Dr. Patel, he said, gesturing to the table. She speaks highly of you, an ideal patient. See, please. I've been looking forward to this for months. We sat across from each other, coffee between us, and just looked. There was so much to say, but no need to rush. 6 months, he began. Did you date anyone? A few dates. Nothing serious. I went out with a couple of people, but my heart wasn't in it. I kept comparing everyone to you. Did they measure up? Not even close, he admitted, smiling tenderly. Marcus, I need to know. Is this still what you want? 6 months is a long time. People change, feelings change. If you've moved on, if this isn't right for you, I'll understand. I reached across the table, taking his hand. His fingers intertwined with mine immediately, warm, familiar despite the months apart. I haven't moved on, I said. I've moved forward, grown, healed, become more myself. But what I feel for you hasn't changed. If anything, it's stronger because now I know it's not dependent on you being my doctor or my support during a crisis. It's just you. I want you. His eyes glistened. I want you too. I've wanted you since that first appointment. The way you were scared but brave, vulnerable but strong. You captivated me immediately. Every conversation we had only deepened it. So, what do we do now? Now we date, he said. Properly. We take our time, get to know each other outside of crisis and medicine. We build something real, ours. No esikel complications. No power dynamics. He squeezed my hand. I want to take you to dinner. Hold your hand in public. Introduce you to my friends. Hear about your day, share mine. All the normal, beautiful things that come with being with someone. That sounds perfect. We stayed in the coffee shop for hours, talking like we used to late at night on the phone. But better because we could see each other, touch each other, exist in the same space without barriers. When we finally left, he walked me to my car. At the driver's side door, he stopped me with a gentle hand on my arm. Can I kiss you? I closed the distance. Our first kiss was soft, tentative, learning the shape of each other's lips, the rhythm of each other's breathing. Then it deepened, 6 months of longing and restraint melting into connection. When we pulled apart, we were both smiling. I've wanted to do that since that day in my office, he admitted. When I saw you vulnerable, scared, brave. When I looked into your eyes and saw your whole beautiful, complicated soul. I fell for you that day, Marcus. And I'm so grateful we waited to do this right. We moved through the farmer's market, Adrian's hand in mine. Completely comfortable in my own skin for the first time in my life. We'd been officially together for 6 months, and it was the easiest, most natural relationship I'd ever experienced. My viral load had been undetectable for 8 months. My CD4 count completely normal. I was healthy, physically, emotionally, mentally. My relationship with my family was still complicated but improving. My sister had become one of my biggest advocates, and she adored Adrian. Work was thriving. My friendships in the LGBTQ+ community had grown. My life felt full and authentic. But the best part? The man beside me, selecting fresh vegetables and joking about my inability to cook anything beyond pasta. The man who'd seen me at my most vulnerable and loved me anyway. The man who had waited, done everything right, prioritized my well-being, even when it cost him what he wanted. What are you thinking about? Adrian asked, catching me staring at him. How different my life is from a year ago, I said. How terrified I was in your office that day, thinking my world was ending. And now, I realize it wasn't ending. It was beginning. I pulled him close, kissing him among the vegetable stands and flower stalls, not caring who saw. You told me my diagnosis could be a catalyst for living authentically. You were right. You did the work, Marcus. You made the choice to live honestly, to be brave, to build this life. I just walked alongside you. You're more than that, I said softly. You're my partner, my love, my person. His eyes softened. Say that again. You're my person, Adrian. And I love you. I love you too. He kissed me again. Soft, sweet, full of promise. Come on. Let's go home and attempt to cook this food without burning down the kitchen. Our kitchen, I corrected, remembering I'd moved in with him 3 weeks ago. Our kitchen, he agreed, smiling, lighting up his whole face. We walked through the market, 2 men in love, visible and unashamed. The journey had been painful. HIV-positive, coming out, rebuilding relationships, waiting for the right time. But it had led me here, to health, authenticity, and love. During my checkup, the doctor had discovered more than a virus. He had discovered me, the real me, finally free. And in the process, we had discovered each other. Sometimes the worst moments crack you open just enough to let the light in. Sometimes what feels like an ending is actually a beautiful, terrifying, transformative beginning. And sometimes, when you're brave enough to be seen, you find someone who's been waiting to see you all along.